Welcome into Saints Postgame Live right here in the Caesars Superdome after a Saints victory, 28-6 over the Carolina Panthers. It may not have looked like they wanted it to at times, but they got what mattered, and that is the W. I'm alongside former linebacker Scott Shanle. I'm Erin Summers. We are going to get your thoughts shortly. Head in to hear from head coach Dennis Allen now.
As well as we need to play. We played well enough to win this game, but we certainly got to play better, particularly on offense. I don't think we played the way we need to play offensively. I thought the block punt was a big play in the game. I thought defensively we came up with a couple of red zone stops that I thought were, big in the game. And then our ability to finish in the red zone today was kind of the deciding factor. I think we were 3 or 4, I think that's what it was, in the red area today. So, we finished drives and scored touchdowns down there. So there's some positive things, but obviously there's a lot of things we got to fix.
What didn't you like about the offensive performance?
Well, I didn't think we had really hardly any rhythm, early on. Well, I shouldn't say that. I thought early on in the first quarter, I thought we did a good job on the opening drive, basically being able to run the football. We were converting early. We stalled in the red zone, and then we missed a field goal. And then I think for probably a significant portion of the game, I just didn't think we had great rhythm, offensively. I thought our guys, in the fourth quarter responded. We got the big play to AT. Then obviously we, scored down there in the red area, and then we get a fourth down stop, basically down there in our red zone, and get another touchdown to kind of finish off the game.
It looked like Derek and McCoy had an exchange of words. Is it concerning at all that your quarterback's finding a couple of these things on the field?
No, look, this is a highly competitive business that we're in, so I don't think anybody gets too sensitive. Guys want to win, and that's really what this is all about. So, look, we addressed it. It's as far as I'm concerned, it's water under the bridge. Let's move on. You know what I mean? Let's move on.
When it's two team captains yelling at each other, one has to be held back. You
Look,
don't like that's a concern for team chemistry overall?
I think if you're ever in a highly competitive environment, and things aren't going the way that you want it to go, yeah, there's sometimes that you get frustrated. You lash out a little bit. I'm glad that both of them, have the balls to at least stand up and fight. You know what I mean? So, this isn't like a, hell, my wife and I argue. It happens. So let's don't make too much of it.
So you would say that this is something that you've seen before with teammates and team captains?
These kinds of things happen on the field. They happen on our sideline. They happen on our opponent's sideline. They happen in other NFL games. So I wouldn't read too much into it. I think that's two highly competitive guys that want to win.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, can I finish?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I just think when you have competitive guys and things aren't going the way that it needs to go, guys, they get pissed, and sometimes they express their emotions. And then you get over on the sideline, you calm down, and then you come back out and you regroup and you go. And that's what we did.
Sorry, but with that situation and then the fans even trying to cheer for Jameis a couple of times, the way that
Listen, stop. Okay? Stop. We're making way too big a deal of it. Let's move on.
Dennis, how would you assess Derek Carr's play?
Yeah, I think up and down. I think much like the whole offense, right? Up and down. There were some good things. There's some things that we need to do better at. So that's how I would assess it.
Dennis, were you limited at all or a little more conservative than maybe you might want to be because of Derek's injuries? Did that play a
No, I don't really think so. I don't really think so. I just think we struggled to kind of get into a rhythm. I don't think our execution was where it needed to be. I did think we ran the ball well early on. And then obviously we weren't really able to throw the ball as well as we needed to. So then we began to get a little bit more loaded boxes and things like that made it a little bit more difficult to to run the football. And then, look, when we needed to go make a play to try to end the game, we made a play to end the game. And so I thought that was a positive.
Dennis, what do you think of the kind of hustle play by Debo?
I thought it was awesome. I think it's something we talk about all the time, defend every blade of grass, and he easily could have just allowed him to go into our end zone without, having to pay the price. He hustled down there, he stopped him short, and then we're able to get a red zone stop. I think that's part of, the culture of a winning team, and I thought that was exactly what we're looking for.
Dennis, going back to your opening statement, you guys ended up in a three-way tie for first again today, but I feel like the last couple of years there was a sense of the division hasn't gotten away from us. If we can get healthy, if we can play our best football game. Do you think this year it's even more about this team needs to start playing better than just, surviving long enough to let the stand?
Well, yeah. Look, obviously I feel like we need to play a better brand of football. And that's what we're going to continue to work towards doing. But we talked about winning this week, and we took care of goal number one. And now we'll move forward and worry about the next week.
Jimmy, give you guys a little bit of a spark with that third down catch.
Yeah, I thought that was a hell of a catch. For him to go up there like that and then bring it in through contact is something that, we've missed a little bit, and it's been nice to see.
It was kind of hard to tell because Carolina was struggling on offense quite a bit, but did you feel like your defense gave one of its better performances in the last month or so? Or
I thought particularly in the passing game, I thought we did a good job. I felt like, again, I feel like there were some opportunities to get the quarterback on the ground that we didn't, and they ended up, converting a few more first downs via, his legs than I would have liked. And then we had, one misfit on a run, which ended up being a, explosive run. But I thought overall, they did some nice things, and I feel like kind of once we got them into, a passing game mode, I thought our guys, took advantage of it.
With Jimmy kind of giving you what he's given over the course of the past couple of games, touchdowns in the red zones for each of those, do you feel, what would you say your assessment is for the earlier decisions of him being inactive?
Again, I'm not, let's start focusing on what we need to do moving forward. And, I think we've all been through those, decisions and thought through all those things. But he certainly has given us a little bit of an uptick the last couple of weeks.
What did you see on the block punt? How did it help the way it played?
Well, look, honestly, I'm not sure exactly how it got through. I know Nephi got through pretty clean and did a heck of a job of taking the ball off the foot, and then D-Jack was there to pick it up and run it in. I thought it was obviously, the design of the rush was good, and the execution of the rush was good.
Coach, at what point does winning no longer cover over the multitude of things when it comes to football? How do you approach the message to this team after the win, even though you had a good margin of victory on the scoreboard?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So you win by a big margin, but it's kind of an ugly game. At what point does winning not cover up for a lot of the issues?
Listen, every game that you play, whether you win or lose, there's going to be good things that happen in the game. There's going to be some bad things that happen in the game. There's never been a game that hasn't been the case. But ultimately, this game's about winning. And so we won a game today. Nobody's going to apologize for winning a game today. All right? We're going to take the win. We're going to understand the corrections that we need to make, and we're going to work hard to correct those things. And that's the process that you go through on a daily and a weekly basis.
It seemed like there was, we kind of spoke about it on Friday, but a little bit more of an expanded role for Zach Vaughn as a pass rusher. How do you feel that he impacted the game?
Yeah, look, hard for me to comment on that right now, but certainly, that's been something that we've, kind of needed. Maybe a little bit more speed on the edge, especially with Cam kind of being a little limited. So we'll evaluate the tape and see how it was, but I would expect that, we could potentially continue to see him in a little bit of that role.
I know Chris was sick all week. How, was he battling through that today?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was battling through it, but, he fought through it. It was a hell of a play down there on the goal line to catch the ball for the touchdown. So it was good. But he was not feeling well.
And Steve, you kind of touched on this earlier this year, but how did Jimmy respond when he wasn't in the lineup? And like how did he?
Great.
Yeah.
Great. And he responded great when he got in the lineup. He's a pro. So said he'd be ready when his number was called. His number was called. He was ready. So that was good.
Dennis, can you talk about Jordan Howard? It seems like he was all over the place.
Yeah, look, I mean, just on first take after, just coming off the field, I thought there were some good things that I thought he did in the game. I think there's some things that, we're going to need to correct. And so I probably can't get too much detail as to, exactly how I think he played because, it's kind of hard to do when you're just coming off the field. But look, I saw some plays that he impacted the game, and I saw some plays that I felt like, we got to be better there. All good?
Derek had 37 passing yards until the fourth quarter when y'all had that run at the end. How do you feel like he played coming off those injuries last week?
I think up and down.
How do you feel like he played?
Up and down.
Offense, but
I'd said he played up and down a little bit like the rest of the offense. That's really so it wasn't his best performance, but again, we won the game, so we'll make whatever corrections we need to make, and then and we'll move forward.
Was the early focus in the run game something that y'all were intent on having?
Yeah, look, we felt like that. Look, this is a really good pass defense, and they're top. I think they were 6th in the league in terms of pass defense coming into the game. So we knew that was going to be a difficult challenge, and yet we felt like there were some opportunities to potentially run the ball against them. I thought our regular running game was much better in this game, and particularly with us not having Taysom available to us, we knew that was going to be. Something that we were going to have to, really do a good job of is hand the ball off to the runners and let them go make yards. And I thought we did a pretty decent job of that.
And that's with the way the crowd has been the past 2 weeks. How much did you all? I know you need to win every game, but how bad did you need to win this one?
Yeah, look, I think everybody in that locker room and everybody in the city of New Orleans needed the Saints to win, and so I was glad we were able to do that.
What do you think of the front four so far from this game?
The what?
Front four.
On defense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, look, I mean, why don't you let me look at the tape and before I can really comment exactly how I thought, Look, I did think we got after the quarterback a little bit more in this game than maybe what we have been able to do in the previous game. So that did kind of stand out to me a little bit. All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, Jimmy.
All right, brother.
It's weird to catch a pass this year that wasn't a touchdown.
Yeah, it was weird getting hit for the first time. But, I'll take him any way I can.
been preparing to do the fake dunk for a while?
I thought about dunking it, and I thought about the penalty, and the last time I did it, I was fined $32,000. So probably not going to do that.
That was a preseason game, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I can only imagine regular season.
You fined $32,000 for a preseason.
Preseason game, making $1,000 a week. I got fined $32,000 after the rule change, and I might talk to Adidas and see if they can cover it for me.
Jimmy, I think this might be your first time talking to you since you kind of had that inactive streak. So how did you kind of approach that as a vet and just was not in the line?
Yeah, for me it was a little different, obviously. I always want to be in that jersey for the city, for this team, and I know numbers-wise, it just didn't work out, and I kind of knew my role coming in this was going to be limited, and I just knew I needed to stay ready for the opportunity. So I did a lot of biking and just made sure I was just mentally ready for it, so I could rise up and make a play, and glad that happened.
Last week was your first touchdown as a Saint in the Superdome in a regular season game. for a while. What did that feel like?
Yeah, it's, if you think about it, I was, I spent a year away from the game and, ended up moving on to a sailboat and, just always felt like there was something missing. And, there's nothing like scoring in this city and for this team and in this jersey. It was magical and, hopefully we get a lot more. And, I'm blessed to be able to play this game at 37. I feel like I've been kind of an underdog most of my life, so every play I get out there in that jersey, I play with a chip on my shoulder, and I'm always trying to prove people wrong, I had to throw the walker to the side today to make a couple plays, but, it's magical playing in here.
Like a third down catch, just they had to look and get it.
Yeah.
Kind of got hit the head there as well, so kind of walked through that play.
Yeah, well, I kind of wasn't supposed to be there, but, they rerouted me. And it felt just like a moment with Drew, where he just trusts me, stays on me, and he just throws it up, and it just felt like the clock ticked back about a decade. And after that, I kind of lose it and start screaming, go to the sideline, headbutt people. So those moments are special, and I got to say that's the one thing you can't replace. Whenever you leave this game, the feeling, the moments like that. When the crowd goes crazy and when your teammates are on the sideline and you're able to celebrate with them, that's what came back, and these are the moments I live for. And so to be able to do that here, I'll never get tired of it.
Do you appreciate it in a different way, those kind of moments, than you did like 10 years ago? Like the different perspective of being a little bit older, does it feel different?
Monday feels a little different for sure, but. For me, it's a different mentality. It's one where you're going in, and I remember kind of early in the game, one of the defenders, asked me why I was still playing because I was 50, and so I use it as motivation. If I'm 50 and I jump over you and I'm making these plays, it's more of like an inspiration for everybody, for kids, and I came in here a college basketball player. With a hope and a dream, and this team believed in me, and then again, this team believed in me, in my late 30s. So, every time I put that thing on, I always got something to prove.
Did you say you were living on a sailboat?
Yeah, moved onto a sailboat in March in Miami. It's phenomenal, but just a little different. It's big piece of mind. I plan to sail around the world one day, so I kind of started that last year and went to some courses and. Focus on doing that later in life, but put that to the back burner for this opportunity.
Sorry if I'm repeating things you've already talked about, but you've made the decision to come back and put your body through all this again, which can't be easy.
Yeah.
When you weren't playing, do you have any moments of doubt or wishing you made a different decision to come back?
Well, one of the biggest things was, I found cycling. And so, I've been doing endurance cycling for the last, basically a year and a half, 2 years. And, my body felt amazing. It's the best I've ever felt. And, for me and a bunch of my guys, a bunch of Pelotons in Miami, I was always telling them, I wonder what would happen if I came back and how my legs would respond. Next year I've got about like 500-mile races. And so really the bike really helped me. It enabled my legs to get stronger without having to put the load on, without having to do, power cleans and big squats again. And it's crazy. I was in Italy biking across Tuscany beginning of July, and I got the call to come here, and Mickey called me and he asked me if I could still run, and I said maybe. At the time, I hadn't ran a route since 2021, so I came in here and ran some routes for the first time with the ball in the air, and looked fast. So they ended up signing me, and here we are.
Jimmy, can you hear the crowd? Like they tend to react when you come in. Can you hear them?
Oh yeah.
When you come in again?
Oh yeah. It's interesting because this latter part of my career, I've kind of been a specialist in the red zone, and I remember when I was young here, or even in Seattle, after I hurt my knee, I wouldn't go in the game until the red zone. There they call me like the big unit, like Randy Johnson, because I would just go in and just catch fades. So when you get in a game and the crowd's standing up, they know what's happening, and they know it's an opportunity for me to maybe get the ball, and you don't want to disappoint them. You always want to rise up to the occasion.
You don't mind me asking, what was the name of your boat?
Flight Risk.
Flight Risk.
Yeah.
And a big
52 for Benito. Yeah.
Jimmy, I know that you're seen as, a leader in that tight end room
Mhm.
for sure. And all.
Yeah.
And I know earlier on this season, it was kind of a heartbreaking moment for Foster Moreau
Yeah.
and everything. Did you have any words of encouragement for him, or did you two get an opportunity to talk?
Yeah, I mean, he is a warrior. Just his mentality every day, coming in, every day at practice, what he puts in, how much he loves his game is unmatched. I mean, it really is. And obviously him being, from New Orleans, being able to meet his family and, to see where that mentality came from. And, he's a special dude, and, he truly gives everything that he has to this game. And, I love playing beside him.
Jimmy, you got a 3-way tie for first place now, 4 games left.
Yeah.
How do you feel about everything going forward?
Yeah, it's been a lot of ups and downs, but to be in this position for us, we feel very fortunate, very blessed for this opportunity. Like DA said, we're just going to take it one game at a time. Right now we're just looking to go 1-0 this next week, heal up, and have a right game plan to come back here to the city and try and go 1-0. So we just feel very fortunate for the opportunity, and it's December ball, and this is when you got to step up and be special.
And Jimmy, you probably have a better understanding of this fan base than
Yeah.
anybody else in the locker
Mhm.
room. But what's kind of your reaction on just to how they've been the past couple of weeks with some of the bullying?
Yeah.
What's kind of your reaction to
Yeah, this place is, they are accustomed to winning at a high level. They're accustomed to, going out there and putting up 50 points on everybody, and that's something that, when I hear it, it motivates me, because I know it just takes one play and that thing will switch. Like last week, ended up, dropping off this young kid and scoring, and it felt like the whole crowd just changed. And so I know this crowd, they love us, they believe in us, and they're there for us. But you got to make them stand up and holler. They love to dance in here, they love to party, so you got to give them a reason to.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It's good to see you guys. It's been a while.
Derek, how happy are you to see Jimmy back?
He has been, he's been someone that, our lockers are just separated by one, and we have had a lot of great conversations where we're both in there very early, and so some early morning from training camp to now, just great times getting to know each other, just becoming good friends and good teammates, and having him, we knew that he could do some of these things. Obviously, we hit him early in Green Bay, and now the past couple of weeks, he's, been, a viable option for us. And just to see him still play at that level and still be able to execute at that level at his age, I heard him talking about his training and all that kind of stuff, and that's like the new thing. Like, as you get older, you have to change certain ways that you do things, and he knows what he's doing, and it's paying off for him because he still executes at a high level. He made the best play of the day was that catch. It was unbelievable. It's like the only place I could throw it, and it's Jimmy Graham. Like, I watched Drew do it enough. It's like give him a chance, and he went up and made a heck of a play. So, you watch that play, and you're like, he looks like he's 28 years old. And really impressed. But I think the greatest thing is his leadership. What he brings to our team, just the mellowness. Just his demeanor. When it's tough, when it's hard, those grinding days on a Wednesday or Thursday, he's been just fantastic for our team.
What happened between you and Eric in that situation?
Yeah, always. Yeah, I mean, things happen, man. We were both had our reasons. We were both right for an aspect. We were both wrong for an aspect. But that's not the only time that's ever happened, with me and a player or an offensive lineman or a center. That stuff happens. And, the best part about it, Rich Bisaccia always taught me those moments are going to happen. You're going to have conflict sometimes, confrontation. Always circle back. So we went and circled back. We looked at each other, both smiled, because we both already knew, but that was, with all the cameras around, that stuff gets caught sometimes. But there's no problem. It's all good.
You've had a couple of those this year. Is that something that you kind of
Me and Eric?
think about, or keep mindful of?
Well, I'm just excited that we won a game today. You know, people gritted through some stuff, and that's what I'm happy about.
You don't think that conflict's like maybe an issue, though?
Brother, I'm not trying to be negative with you anymore. I'm sorry.
When you say fight through it, how much were injuries? How much were you affected? How much were you trying to fight through stuff physically? Did that limit you at all?
Everybody's dealing with stuff. You know, they put the little injury report out there, and there's everyone. There's 8 guys on every team every year, you know, or every week, I should say. And everybody's dealing with stuff. I grew up in a time where, like, you know, there are certain things that you may not put your best film out there, but are you still willing to go out there and be out there for your teammates, right? And we have a lot of guys that make those decisions all the time, like, no, we're going to be out there, and it is what it is, you know.
Eric, you're pretty good with transparency. How would you assess your play today?
Yes, we won. We won. I got enough yards and touchdowns for a lifetime, man. I came here to win, and hopefully we can just keep doing that.
Derek, everything you went through this week, how does it feel to get the win? How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, my favorite thing is to watch my teammates celebrate. So, you know, we got to go in that locker room, and everyone was dancing. Coaches, special teams coach, right in the middle of it. You know, watching Riz dance and all that. I mean, this game's hard enough. You know, and so whenever you can get a win and watch everybody celebrate, knowing, you know, you see guys a smile on their face, you know what they dealt with all week. You know what that guy dealt with, and you watch them and you see that smile, and like that's those, like Mickey said in there, like you're going to remember the people you do it with, and because you know their story, you know what's happening in their life, and that's what was cool to me. I saw 2 or 3 guys I know they were dealing with some stuff nobody knows about, but they came out, gritted it out, and we were able to get a win and see them smile. You know, even though it was a hard week, it was really cool.
There was a report that you got a rib fracture. Is that right? And is that limiting at all in anything you were trying to do?
I did. I've had a couple this year. I think I'm up to 3 now, which there were guys last year on the team here that were dealing with those, you know, and they what's crazy is they had a whole bunch of them last year. They know exactly how to treat them, like, just stuff to help you be at your close to as best as you can. And so ribs on court or any rotational athlete are tough, but I felt good enough. They felt confident enough that I could at least be out there and, you know, execute.
Is that like a mobility risk or a pain management thing, a little bit of both?
Yeah, because pain would be the mobility issue, but we were able to do some things to help that as best we could.
Did that the other game plan?
Sorry.
Sorry, Ken. Did that affect the game plan that you guys were trying to work around it?
No, we knew. I mean, this scheme, they want to stop the pass. You know, they hold their shell looks. They want to take away the deep stuff and all that kind of stuff. And I think they're only giving up 180 yards passing all year. You know, and so like, you know, the emphasis. I used to play that scheme all the time in Denver. That's the emphasis. You got to be able to run the ball to win the game. And when you do have pass plays down the red zone, you know, try and be efficient. Try and hit. Got to hit a shot. You know, there's just formulas to playing certain teams. And trust me, I'll throw 20 yards in a game and get a win any day. Like I said, I came here to do that. So however we have to do that, we've thrown for 300 and lost, and it's a crappy week, you know. Like now everyone have a smile on their face, we got to win. And whatever the scheme is, man, you know, everybody tries to attack things differently. And so going into it, it wasn't like maybe they didn't tell me, you know. But I knew it was going to be a heavy run the ball day because every time I played this scheme, you got to be able to run the ball efficiently, and we were able to do that.
But Eric, at what point does the way you win matter as much as getting the win?
Man, in 10 years, like, I've been a part of some really big wins, and you have a huge day on one side of the ball or the other, and then I've been a part of some or some games where you have a great day and you lose, or some games where you lose. And one thing I've learned is that you really don't care how us in the building, we don't care how we win. You know, you just got to win. You know, this league is way too tough. You know, to try and nitpick. The nitpicking is to get better for the next game. You know, if we're going to do those plays and that kind of stuff and get better as individually. But you just take a win anytime you can get them. You know, you always hear a coach. I've been a part of these where it wasn't pretty, and then hey man, we able to get a couple at the end and put it away, and hey, it wasn't pretty. I've heard Coach say it wasn't pretty, but we won, you know. And so I've just adopted that, and I believe that any way you can do it, you just want to win.
It was a unique play. Did you get away with one-on-the-one, or what did you see when you threw that one that went to Andrew's feet? I guess you were glad he didn't catch it? Or
I was trying to dirt it at Chris. Chris had broke in, the safety was there, and I was trying to dirt, but as I got hit, it just kind of fell to him. But I wasn't trying to throw it to Andrus. That was not a target. Yeah.
Derek, you know, I know, I'm sorry to belabor this, but
You're fine.
People see the quarterback and the center arguing throughout a game on television. It's going to be perceived as this is just something bubbling out of the locker room. This is something that's happening that we're now seeing.
Yeah.
What would you say to that? And does that perception matter?
The perception of it, no, that doesn't matter. To say, I mean, I've always been honest with you guys. To say that there was a problem before, we had a great week of texting each other and practice and laughing and having fun and all that kind of stuff. So me and Eric have no issue. In the moment, something happened. The reason doesn't matter. Everyone wants to know the reason. Everybody wants to know the why and what. Doesn't matter. We were both right. We were both wrong. At the same time, we both were like, my bad. He was like, my bad. I was like, my bad. And that was it. And I've done that with my two older brothers probably 50 times in my life, and it happens. But when it's like in a frustrating moment and that kind of happens, it is intensified, as I've learned. You know, because people want to know, oh no, what's wrong? There really is nothing wrong. We had a moment that I've had some of those moments in my 10 years a lot of times, you know, with a coach, with a teammate, somebody. And just I always learn, you always circle back, you make it right, and you keep going. But that kind of stuff happens all the time at practice. Not saying with me and him, I'm saying just with teammates. That stuff happens. And you just make sure you always, you know, circle back, make it right, and we did that. And so I love Eric. I love Eric to death. But I would be completely honest with you, there's no problem.
One last question for Derek and then Carl Granderson.
Derek, when did the rib fractures happen? Sorry, I mean to talk over you. I just need to ask that.
You talking about?
Yeah, is that
there's
the Green Bay game or the Minnesota game? The other rib fracture.
Yeah, there's the other two. No one even knew. I played through them, but the one was last week, Detroit. Yeah.
But you'd already had the two.
A different time. It was a different. It wasn't those two games. It was a different game. Yeah. Good. Yeah, appreciate it.
Can you talk a little bit about how well y'all felt the defense played today?
Yeah, we played a good game. We came together today as a team, started off fast, you know, got a quick little 3 and out on defense, gave the offense an opportunity. So we just came out ready to play.
Carl, I don't know if you're aware, but there's oftentimes sort of this narrative that players get big contracts and then their production falls off. How does it feel to sort of be setting the example on the opposite side of that?
Yeah, you know, I came a long way, started from the bottom, try to work my way up with effort, energy, and execution. So I started off on special teams and now starting defensive end. So I came a long ways, put hard work, dedication in every day, come to work, you know, and try to play hard for my teammates.
It's one thing to get a sack at a big moment in a game, but to see that followed up by a missed field goal, how does that kind of compound a successful game?
You know, whether you know it or not, every play matters. So getting a sack took them out of field goal range, made it harder on the kicker, put pressure on the kicker. So that was a big turning point in the game. And yeah, so we just executed and finished out. The defense held the offense, and we got the W.
Carl, what was the mindset of the defense approaching this game? Did you guys feel like the last couple games had been uncharacteristic and you had a better performance to put out there?
Yeah, we know overall we're a better defense. So going into each game, our objective is to stop the run so we can get after the quarterback. And that's what we did today. They had a few rushing yards, but we was getting after them. So moving forward, we got to stop the run, Everybody gonna come in with a game plan. We just got to execute better than them.
How do you think Cam Jordan has helped you evolve in your game?
Say that again.
How do you think Cam Jordan has helped you evolve when it comes to technique?
Yeah. Cam Jordan been a big role model since I came in my rookie year. And, I looked up to him. He's a heck of a player. So he been teaching me, and I've been watching him over these last couple of years. Inspirational. He motivated me. Even when I'm doing something wrong, he get on me about it. So he's a great leader, great captain, and I'm thankful to have a great mentor like Cam Jordan.
When a team has an offensive lineman that goes out of the game after the first snap, obviously that has a big impact on the offense, but does that change anything about what y'all do over on the defensive side? Well,
it just depends on your mindset. My mindset after a turnover, it don't matter. We could get the ball on the 1 yard line. We gonna take care of our offense. Those are our brothers. We got their back. My mindset getting on back to the field is, let's go. I got your back. So I'm thankful to get out there and go stop them. We got another opportunity to make a big play on defense, and we got our offense back. We're a team.
But for Carolina, they lost one of their offensive linemen early on in the game due to an injury. Is that something that y'all focus in on and know that there's a backup in that spot? Is that something y'all even think about at all?
We game plan all week. It's a system, so they was taught to execute and run their plays. So it's a system. Injuries happen, so I'm pretty sure they thinking about the next man up, and we got to take advantage of that. So that's what we did today. They had an injury. We got the W, and we executed better than they did.
Bryce Young missed on a lot of throws. Could you sense the extent to which pressure from the defensive line affected his accuracy?
Yeah, definitely. We had some interior pressure early on, and allowed him to scramble. So once he get off the spot, he's looking to either run or get to panicking. So we was able to cause pressure on the defense and get after him and, affect his judgment.
Zach Bond spent a little bit of time with the defensive line throughout the week. Sort of, what have you seen with him fitting into that group and helping to contribute as a pass rusher a little bit?
Say that again?
Zach Bond over the course of
Yeah. He been ready, so he's a pass rusher. He could stop the run. Outside linebacker is no different from defensive end. We got the same job, so he's been contributing and stepping up big for pass rushing on the other side. And he got a sack last week, so he's learning and he's doing his thing. So I got his back.
Anything else for Carl?
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, guys.
Scott, we just heard from head coach Dennis Allen, quarterback Derek Carr, and numerous players. This game was much closer until late fourth quarter. What changed that allowed the Saints offense to just really go off?
Yeah, you're right. When you look at the final numbers and the box score and team stats, nobody would ever guess that this game ended up 28-6. And I think a lot of times in the NFL, there's a percentage scale out there somewhere that shows when you block a punt in the NFL and get a touchdown, you have a 90% chance of winning. That shows you how important special teams is and the third phase of the game. But to me, this game, they outrushed the Saints. They threw the ball more. They had more first downs. But the Saints did a good job on third down. And again, you saw, here's the improvement, red zone. The Saints were 3 for 4 in the red zone. The Panthers were 0 for 2. And that really was the difference, throwing the block punt for a touchdown, and that's how the game got blown up.
That blocked punt, which actually I think officially ruled a forced fumble by Nephi Sewell and then recovered by DeMarco Jackson for that touchdown. It was a huge moment in this game because the Saints weren't able to really get into the end zone consistently until the end of the game. It was great to see tight end Jimmy Graham get another catch. Chris Olave gets into the end zone. Alvin Kamara had a great game on the ground to get things going for the Saints offensively before they could really connect through their pass game. But defensively, there were so many players that stood up. They stepped up. rookie Jordan Howden, the
Yeah.
safety that came in because Marcus May has been out. He had a phenomenal game. He led the team with 10 tackles and he had a sack.
Yeah, he was outstanding. He really was, and he's one of those rookies who is getting a lot of playing time. Marcus May has missed a lot of time this year, more than I think they thought. It was a year where Jordan would come in, learn behind a veteran, maybe play in some packages, some nickel packages, but he's been thrust in there. He's been thrust in there to a starting role, and he's done a great job, just like you mentioned, leading tackle of the defense today, all around the field, sideline to sideline, great range as a safety. He's got a really bright future in this league if he keeps playing that way.
Defensively, the Saints did allow the Panthers to end up with over 300 yards. However, they were able to move the ball. They just weren't able to capitalize when they got into the red zone. The Saints defense really stepped up when it got within the 20. How did you like their response once they got into close range?
Yeah, I've said forever, this game really comes down to, a lot of people will look at numbers, total defense and yardage, but really, we said it forever, even when I played. The yardage between the 20s in the NFL is all for fantasy. It's about scoring inside. And you saw it with the Saints. When the Saints struggled this year, it's because they struggled in the red zone. You are not going to win a whole lot of games struggling in the red zone and kicking field goals. So it's not about those total yards when it comes to defense. It's about making teams kick field goals. The Saints did that enough. You look at the final numbers. Even the Panthers were not really good on third down. They weren't able to keep the drives going. They missed a field goal today. So it just came down to, yes, they had a lot of yards, a lot of rushing yards, leaky yards you don't want to see, but they weren't able to put it in the end zone.
One area that the Saints did find success in, which was something they haven't done in a while, is getting to the quarterback. 4 sacks in this game. How were they able to have success in getting Bryce Young down?
Well, first of all, I think it was a really good matchup for the Saints defensive line. The Saints defensive line has struggled a little bit the past few weeks. The Carolina Panthers have not protected Bryce Young at all this year. I mean, he's been sacked at a high rate.
44 times?
44 times. So if you're a D lineman, and I know these guys were talking about this week in their defensive line meeting room, let's get some sacks. It is our time to get back and get right, and really just winning one-on-one pass rushes, going against guys, utilizing the tools in your toolbox, whether it's speed to power, speed rush, whether it's a chop spin, which Brian Greasy does as good as anybody. He is so quick in the pass game, and he's really coming along every single week. So a lot of those guys just winning those one-on-one battles, and you play really good team defense when you can play coverage and rely on those 4 guys to rush.
I think that it was a great way for the Saints to get back on track. There are areas in this game that they're going to look back on and say, could have done this better, should have done this better. However, you get the first win, and you know that you got to start stacking them as the season goes on, because you're right there in the NFC South running. Good things happened today in that regard, because the Falcons lost. They lost to the Bucs earlier today. So all of these things are boding well for the Saints to make that stretch run.
Absolutely, and it's now you have to capture seize those seconds, seize those situations, because Atlanta, probably a lot of people thought they would beat Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay took care of business. Now you have a 3-way tie, 3 teams at 6 and 7. It's going to be a stretch run. But the fortunate thing for the Saints is you get another home game against a struggling Giants team. Take advantage of that situation, win that game, because you turn around on a short week and you play a dangerous Rams team who you don't know what you're going to get. So it's about taking care of business 1 week at a time, but it's right there. It's all right there for the taking.
Quarterback Derek Carr said yesterday that getting that first win when you've been on a losing streak is almost the hardest one to get, and then things start to get a little bit easier. Is it kind of like the monkey's off your back?
Yeah, I would say not necessarily. It's always great to win, and your confidence goes up. It's after the second win. Once you stack wins, you get the first win, you get a little bit of confidence, but the real proof in the pudding and the real thing comes when you can stack them. 2 wins, 3 wins, hopefully. When that happens, the confidence, it becomes electric, it becomes contagious. Going to work doesn't feel like a job. You enjoy going and working on your craft. So hopefully they can stack wins.
All right. Well, we would love to see another win next week right here as we host the Giants. Another game in the Superdome before they do head on the road again to face the Rams on that Thursday night game. For Scott Shanle, John DeShazier, I'm Erin Summers. Thank you so much for joining us as the Saints get a 28-6 win over the Carolina Panthers.